Hey everyone, I had said that I would post periodically very short videos about things we've tested, and I'm going to share with you about the concern for lead in diaper ointments and what I've learned. It's going to be brief. So all of the zinc-based diaper ointments that we've tested have tested positive for lead. Some have tested positive for lead upwards of 3,000 or 4,000 parts per billion, which is very high. And we talked to the state of Washington about that to find out if these were violations of the new Washington State Toxic Free Cosmetic Act. With the new Washington State Toxic Free Cosmetics Act, TFCA, makes it illegal to sell products that are personal care or cosmetics items that test positive for 1 part per million lead or higher. That's 1,000 parts per billion. However, what we learned was that things that have a medicated intention or considered a medicated cosmetic, and that would include fluoride toothpaste, that would also include diaper ointments and sunscreens, are exempt from that new law. So if it's supposed to be health protected and medicated, it's allowed to have unsafe levels of lead that would otherwise be illegal in those products. So I will share this with the links to our diaper cream testing to date, and also the links to our sunscreen testing to date and our toothpaste testing that's relevant. The toothpaste testing, luckily, those products that we tested are not fluoride toothpaste, so those are illegal. And they go in the mouth, and it'd really be great if they took action. But again, the state of Washington is kind of hedging their bets and taking too long and making exceptions in terms of their enforcement of this new law. So even though these products are illegal and are being sold on Amazon, which is based in Washington State, they are not enforcing that new law for those toxic products. And I'm really, really disappointed that these children's products, ointments for babies and sunscreens for babies, aren't going to be covered by the new law, even though the levels of lead are extremely high. So we're on our own, kiddos. Consumers have to be aware of these high levels of lead. And then people have said, well, what's the big deal? It's just applied to the skin. Well, an organization that we don't really necessarily agree with, which is the Clean Label Project, published a summary recently, several years ago actually, saying that the levels of lead in some of these topical ointments, and they were looking at sunscreens particularly, are so high that if a child ate or ingested as much of that sunscreen or ointment would be smeared across the surface of a dime, that would give them lead exposure in excess of, for example, Prop 65 limits, and maybe FDA limits, I'm not sure. But I have the whole calculation set out on the website if you're curious about that. So the concern is that a baby touches their body and then puts their hand in their mouth and then will ingest something. And if that something has a significant amount of lead, which these ointments do, and that exposure of hand-to-mouth activity is daily, which if they're using lead-contaminated sunscreen daily over the summer, or if they're using lead-contaminated diaper ointments daily any time of year, that's an ongoing, persistent, chronic exposure source that's being overlooked and not regulated. So that's today's topic, diaper ointments, coming to you from Belfast, Maine. Here we are in Belfast, and hopefully that was helpful and informative. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.